Are you tired of losing games? Whether it's throwing leads, messing up
Bruh.
early game, or your team doing suspicious things, League is a difficult game. It's hard to win sometimes, especially consistently. If you want to start playing much cleaner League of Legends, this is the video for you. One of the tricky things with League is there are a lot of tempting things in the game. We all want to fight, get kills, gold, and a girlfriend challenger. Champions, plates, and minions are all so juicy and distracting. This makes it easy to over-focus on them. This is called tunneling. Think of it like those scenes in movies where a guy runs into a pole because he's distracted by a pretty woman. Previously thought to only be a problem in New York, tunneling is a problem in League as well. There's nothing inherently wrong with wanting gold and glory in League. Those are the best parts of the game. I love that sound that plays when you get gold. That shit hits different. The issue with tunneling is it takes our focus away from where it needs to be. Only thinking about what we want in League is like being a boxer and only thinking about your punches. Bashing people's heads in is fun and all, however, that's just one part of the game. I don't know about you, but if I were thrown into a boxing ring, my #1 priority would be staying alive. League works the same way, except the brain rot doesn't come from being slammed in the head. Since it's virtual, and we're at least physically safe when playing, people tend to not prioritize staying alive as much. We just punch. For me, I seem to love inting for tower plates. I've worked on this a lot, and I still die for them all the time. Our safety is the most important baseline in League for a simple reason. The risk almost always outweighs the reward, as dying isn't just giving the enemy 300 gold. For example, let's say we die to a gank at a bad time. Your laner gets a kill, 2 waves, and 2 plates. That's now an 800 gold deficit you have in lane. They also get an experience lead, and being a level up is worth nearly 600 gold in stats. Pretty much any risk we go for is not worth a nearly 5 kill gold swing. No matter how juicy that cannon, plate, or whatever looks, it's never worth that much. It's easy to say, just stop tunneling, forehead, but how do we actually do this? Instead of focusing on that autopiloting, greedy, degenerate gameplay you love, let's prioritize our threats instead. In other words, keep your eyes on your opponents in minimap, focus on what they're doing, and play around it. Ask yourself, why are they doing that? What are they trying to do? You'll find that dodging abilities, avoiding ganks, and getting good trades becomes much easier when you do this. Another thing you need to learn is doing the basics well with minimal focus. You need to be able to farm, manage waves, and position decently while being primarily focused on your opponent. This is easier said than done. It takes a lot of intentional practice, and the best players still mess this up sometimes. Now that we've laid a good defensive foundation, let's talk about getting some knockouts. We can't just dodge and weave the whole round, we need to put pressure on our opponent. We need to fake in and out, go for some jabs, stress them out a little bit. Effective pressuring makes opponents mess up far more often. That's why a lot of streamers can make their high rank opponents look like me. We do this through aggressive positioning. This provides threat. We want to bait abilities. Walk in your opponent's damage range a little bit and then juke. This is called spacing. It puts a lot of stress on your opponent and they'll feel the need to throw spells at you. Meanwhile, we try to poke and land our own spells. The best time to pressure is when you have lane priority. This is when you have a bigger wave than your opponent. You have more minions, experience, and safety to win trades during this window. Most importantly, it's far more dangerous for things to go poorly for your opponent than it is for you. You have already killed most of their minions, but they have not killed yours. If they die, they will lose all of your stacked waves and be completely out of the game. For this same reason, we need to be extremely respectful when they have priority. It's not worth the risk. Practicing exerting pressure correctly will help you consistently create advantages in lane. While we pressure and play solid fundamentals, we need to keep an eye out for enemy mistakes. Most of them boil down to your opponent being out of position when they're in danger. If they are lower on health, cooldowns, items, or outnumbered and walk into your engage range, this is a mistake and we need to not hesitate to punish it. A lot of players will realize a little too late and correct their positioning if they get the opportunity, so be as fast as possible. I know this seems obvious, however, I see a lot of missed opportunities in games, and we don't want to miss a single one. Keep in mind, it does take some practice and experience to quickly recognize mistakes, so if you use this guideline of your opponent having a basic disadvantage and walking too far up, it will help give you a start. Let's look at a couple of examples to illustrate the points I'm talking about. Okay, here we're playing Mundo into Trundle, and what I want in this lane is to do short trades that are non-committal. He wants to try and all-in me or get an extended trade. And I'm playing around how he's playing, so he's standing in front of my minions, which is a mistake, and that's why I keep getting cleavers. Here he tunnels on that caster minion, and I get a free cleaver into Grasp Auto. And very quickly into this lane, even though Mundo loses pretty much every matchup on paper because he's so weak early game, I'm pretty much full health, and he is half health. And this is just because we're doing a better job playing around him. Notice that I did not go for that minion, and that's because he was standing on top of it, so it would have allowed him to trade hard onto me. Okay, so here we're playing Mundo into Shen, and his autos, similar to Trundle, do a lot of damage because his Q does % max health damage. So we have a very similar plan this lane. We're way weaker than him, we don't want to actually let him get an engage off, and we're playing to not let him auto us too much, and we just poke him with our cleaver and our grasp. So notice when he runs at me here, we back up, we space him, we get the cleaver, we get a single grasp auto, and that wins us the trade because he doesn't really get to use too much of his kit here. He gets a single auto, he gets hit by my minions, this is very favorable. Now he's about to hit level 2, so we're playing around that, and that's why I'm playing a little bit more distance. We keep poking him with Qs, and we're respecting because of how our opponent's playing, right? So I can hit this minion here because he's a little further back. When he runs into me, it's obvious he's going to go for the taunt, so we're ready to juke it right away. We're playing around what our opponent's doing. This is so important to do, and pay attention to my spacing here. I run up to him 2 times, acting like I'm going to engage and then disengage, and then it makes it when I finally go for that cleaver and grasp auto, it's a much cleaner trade because he's not expecting it. Since we were wiggling in and out of his range initially, he wasn't quite ready for when we actually do it. And pay attention to my spacing here, we're still just playing out of his auto range until he's in our minions and we can get a grasp off. And because we're doing our trades really smart, we're getting short trades with our cleaver and our grasp. He's actually losing a lane that he should win on paper. And this is Mundo, he's like the worst early game top laner. And we're still winning lanes because of spacing and paying attention to what our opponent's doing. And now he has to back here, and his wave's not even fully crashed, so we've already won the lane really hard solely off of these concepts. And if I had actually canceled his base right here, he would have been stuck in a really bad position because my Lux is roaming up top, and he's already chunked, he's overextended, and he's lost the lane. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you liked the video.